Well, welcome to my talk. It's great to see you all here in this beautiful room. So I'm Ted Selker, and I've been working in industry and also in academia for my career. And I started off at IBM, where you probably know me for the ThinkPad, and I will talk a little bit about that. But I'm also really proud of the work I've been doing in generative AI, and I've been working in user interface and AI for my whole career. And so actually today there'll be a launch of a chatbot that I had something to do with, and we'll talk about that more later. Anyway, AI is in everything now. And what you're going to find is that, for example, this pointing device in the ThinkPad, it actually has AI in it. It has a model of how your eyes move and how you make decisions to change what context you're in on your graphical user interface. It has a model of how shaky your finger is. And all of that cognitive modeling, based on perceptual experiments, is built into this pointing device. We are building in more and more intelligence into everything we build. And so that is kind of the story. And here we have, actually, let's see if we can hear him, somebody in space telling us that it was nice not to have their mouse floating around. But in any case, AI is really about reasoning, representation, and learning. And so now everybody thinks it's just about big models. Okay, big models are amazing. They've changed everything. And in fact, the fact is that AI has been productive and helping for a long time. In the 1980s, electronic trading was done with AI, and it transformed the industry, made some people very, very rich. And then in the 1990s, search was all about the linkages between knowledge, and the AI had changed everything so that Google exists. And now in the 2000s, we have e-commerce, went through the roof with keeping track of who is about what and what your preferences are, and a lot of other things too. And now the fraud prevention, detection, and mitigation, it's a huge business. And thank God for AI for solving these problems. And so even when I'm talking, I've made systems that watch the technology, that watch the disruptions and frustrations that are happening in a Zoom interaction. And I've made systems that use AI to help a person recognize how they're talking and also what frustrations they're having to face. In car safety, we are using AI in lots of ways. Even before self-driving cars, all of these things, such as ABS brakes, they have a representation of how things work. And also, in the ambient sound that we hear in the elevator going to our dentist, the advertisements are geared to us. They are using AI to decide what information to give in different places, maybe so many different ways to do it. Generative AI, now it is really the big change. And it's a big change not because it's a big improvement in AI. It's a big change in how we present the AI. What we've done is we've put a model of how to understand a person's description of what they want to talk about, how they want to talk about it, how they want it presented. And then it has a model of persuasion. It has a model of how a paragraph is formatted. It has a model of how to conclude. And then it uses LLMs we've been using for 10 years. But boom, everybody uses it. Within 2 months, I was talking to 87-year-old people that were using ChatGPT right when it came out. So it's very, very powerful, and it has the world's knowledge in it. So technology is inevitably used for social purposes. All we really care about is each other. And from the very beginning, at least half of what the computers were doing was communicating between people. We are always social actors, and the point that I make is that actually we have to understand the relationship between how the computers treat us and how we treat it, or we will not want to use it at all. And so I've made many, many demonstrations, maybe 100 demonstrations of using AI in physical devices, in kitchens, in bedrooms, and in many things. And I'll talk about a few of them today. But the most important thing that I like to talk about is that I like to do my research, and a lot of my writing is about being considerate, trying to understand how do we interact so that people want to work with us. Marketing people always knew about this. And what is considerate social feedback? Well, we take a look at these people. They're looking at each other, and their height, and how close they are together, and their gesture, and their non-verbal cues. All of those things are helping us understand what's going on between them. And really, the most important thing here is that we understand that the appropriate social feedback is important. Because today, the cell phone is in such a bad place that, in fact, somebody is taking a picture at the Taj Mahal and they fall off because the telephone lets them focus completely on something that is not important. That is, what's important is their life. And in fact, in our country, now more people are crashing their car because of cell phone than because of drinking. This is new, but awful. So we really have to understand, how do we fit this technology into our lives? And the point is to talk about reducing how much we're thinking about anything and respond when things are pertinent and valuable, thoughtful and caring, receptive and reciprocal. Don't be distracting. Don't be condescending. Always computers are saying, you didn't do the right thing. That's not where we want to be. Hostile or manipulative. So often, in the name of being friendly, you've seen so many chatbots be pandering, just pretending that they're being friendly, and they are being worse than unfriendly at that point. So you can recognize people's needs and desires. Here we have Andrea Lockhart, one of my students, and she just has a microphone listening to her. User interface is not just graphical user interface. She's making movie. And what this microphone is doing is it's recognizing when she is giggling. She giggles when she's taking a movie of somebody taking a movie of her. She giggles when somebody's making this fantastic music right next to the subway in Boston. And anyway, you see these smiley faces. This is the 4 times that something important was happening in the video. We do automatic video editing with it. And that way we are using AI, but really we're just looking at her intentions. Intentions are what we want to understand. And so another example of something that I did is you look at this very complicated Windows setup over here. I had people, I'm always running experiments. So this experiment, we have people, they're filling out a spreadsheet, they're getting email about something, they're getting a text message about an order that's coming in, they're trying to do a calculation to fill an order. And then we said, okay, what we're going to do is for all the text messages, we are going to notice, is this text message something that you're writing about right now? If it is, okay, send it. If you're typing, we wait for you to pause in your typing so that it gives you the information when you're ready to read it. If it is not about this, we save it. And if there are other text messages, we may group the ones that are a similar topic. This is all AI. We are doing sentiment analysis, we're doing text analysis, we're understanding what the person's doing, and we're making people 25% faster at filling orders. And when we sell them, just stop, just see if you can get rid of errors in all of your orders, 30% fewer errors. So this is a big deal. We had people use it for 10 days. They want to keep using it. I should go into business. But the point is that there are many disruptions that the computer and even our friends are making that the AI can watch our intentions and understand what to do to reduce. Another example is some things with conference calling. So I thought, can AI help people communicate with each other? That would be even more important than communicating with a computer, right? And so I made this conference calling system, and it's based on some research I did. And over here what you see is somebody was talking, and they were dominant. And then we said, turn taking, they stopped being dominant. Went from 100% down to under 40. And the person that wasn't talking, we say, something to say? Up they go. we actually found that with an AI agent reminding people that they were over-speaking or under-speaking, they would improve. And in fact, what we found also is that if the computer says noisy, instead of somebody saying, could you mute your microphone? When we say, can you mute your microphone? Then everybody's stress goes up, more communication errors. 1/2 the communication errors when the computer recognizes that there's noise in the communication and then uses that to tell a person to stop it. Even just telling a person to stop it with a computer was better. I have a few papers on this topic. So actually, another thing I did is I made a big AI system just to recognize what are people going to hear me like? Are they going to think I'm confident, or are they going to think I'm sexist? Are they going to think I'm saying something positive, or maybe I'm actually saying something profane, right? And so this thing, these smiley faces doing this, actually this is based on a paper that I wrote that actually started the field of sentiment analysis. So this is really kind of interesting that as soon as we turned on this thing and you have this reflection coming back at you, what would somebody maybe think of what you're saying? Is it confident? Is it apologizing? Is it deferent? Is it ageist? Or anyway, we got better results. In fact, so that was a lot of fun. So we can use AI in that way. And what we have to recognize is to keep the comments short, timely, simple, not distracting. And this idea of hearing oneself. You know, telephones, for a while in the 80s, cell phones, they didn't have anything coming out of the earpiece when you're talking. People cannot communicate as well. They start speaking louder and louder. This thing we call side tone, that is the feedback we get in the earpiece. That is what that reflect I was showing a moment ago is trying to do. It's trying to give you some way of knowing how would somebody else see this, what you're doing. And so for making that model, there are 106,000 cells in this spreadsheet, and those are the training data. So we tried many ways of recognizing as somebody apologizing, and we start with direct matching. Just look for the word apology or I'm sorry. But the problem is you might say, I'm sorry that I hurt you, or you might say, I'm sorry for your loss. I'm sorry for your loss is not apology. And so the direct matching words, you've seen it so many times, they just don't work. Then you can use existing models, like Hugging Face has these models of hate or whatever, and they're just really actually not very accurate, and they're not exactly what you want. So then you say, oh, I'll give it a few examples, one-shot learning, and maybe 60%. 60% correct is not good enough. And finally, you start saying, okay, I'll have, for every single thing I'm trying to recognize, I'll have an AI model. But then what you find is it takes lots of computation, but also the interaction between them. The magic of the large language models is these tensors. And the tensors, what they do is they connect everything that you're asking about with anything anybody said about that topic, making these just-in-time clusters of all of the knowledge that's relevant for this purpose. So by training all 25 of these characteristics simultaneously, giving the data to the LLM, we got one-fifth as long latency, and we got 20-30% better performance in terms of accuracy. So we're now running, over 90% accuracy. So just realize you have so many ways you can. Oh, I have 47 seconds. That you can learn. And I just want to say the reason I'm telling you this is because we don't really think the alternatives of ways to use AI are really as important as just use the best one you can find. So the large language models are aggregated knowledge. And do I have 10 more minutes? This says only 20 seconds. How long do I have? Okay. I can't see. But the point is that curated knowledge, that is the knowledge in search. That is the knowledge that people put in. And let me just explain that, because I'm noticing that I'm a little late, I'm going to go and I'm going to tell you some experiments I did working for Google. So we tried an experiment where we tried having people search for a car. And then we chose people that said they don't like ChatGPT. And we told them, hey, you know, try it anyway. What they found was that they were faster, they got more concrete, efficient knowledge, and interaction experience. And so it overcame their negative opinions because ChatGPT makes an explanation where search just makes a list. But when will search be better, and when will ChatGPT be better? Well, let's try some examples. I've tried about 14 different categories, but I'll just show you a couple. For professional scenarios, what are some current jobs for an accountant? Search, it gave, it's over here on the right. Search gives recent job postings and available opportunities. Concrete, successful thing. ChatGPT gave job platforms and typical jobs, not this good. Okay? When you're just going to say, what is global warming temperature? Search gave the latest, most authoritative answers. ChatGPT gave typical databases you could look at. So actually, not as good. But for communication scenarios, if we asked, write an introduction about climate change, Search tells you to go learn about it somewhere. Chat tells you exactly what you need. It actually builds it for you. So here's a big list. But what you find is that for a scientist, the data is not all over the place, so that the LLM hasn't been trained well. For the fact checker, again, the specifics are hard to get to in ChatGPT. Recreational intellectual, specific examples aren't good from ChatGPT. Hobbyist, they're somewhere off in the corner. It's the mainstream stuff that the LLMs are great for. Do-it-yourself, maker, constructor, professional, specific things, it's not what it's great at. But as soon as you get to a student, wow, it's a tutor that'll never give up. When you get to a communicator, oh my gosh, writes beautifully. And if you have an analyst, it writes explanations. It turns out so much of what we do is communicating that these last three are super important. And so, anyway, I've been writing a blog about how to use generative AI in positive, productive ways. And one of the most exciting things, instead of having it write your essay and turn it in and get thrown out of school for not writing your plagiarism, what we tell people to do, and we're working with, in England, this wheel is part of the curriculum, is we say, ask the question as though you were a mathematician. Ask it as though you were a theologian. Ask it as though you were a physicist or an engineer. And what we get is completely different answers. And by asking the same question, for example, in one of to say, ask it as though you're optimistic, or maybe you're skeptical, you get completely different answers. What does this do? It broadens your view. And when you broaden your view and see different points of view, maybe we don't have as many of the problems that we're finding with these social media getting us all siloed and thinking only in one way.